There is a video I wanted us to watch. Well, y'all wanted us to watch, called Destiny 2 is Not Dead.
Destiny, and Destiny 2 by extension, I've said this many years now, had so much potential. They just let it wither and die.
You've heard this sentiment a lot, and I'm sure many of you believe it, but I'm here to offer you the other side of that argument. I'm here to show you why I think Destiny is actually far from its death. And I'm going to demonstrate why I think the magic that binds Destiny together is still there, and why I believe Destiny will have a generational comeback. I know the game is not in the greatest spot right now, but I truly love this universe and think it can get better. So I want to give a positive outlook on the future. Of course, Destiny 2 will have to die if there's going to be a Destiny 3, and we'll get into that later in the video, but today I want to showcase why Destiny as a franchise, universe, and IP is far from death. There are plenty of things wrong with the game. Things like the portal are why people have left. I'm not here to say that there aren't any issues, because there are. But I want to address the things that I believe are plaguing the community and creating the sentiment that Destiny is dead. Those issues being the player counts, the delay, and the uncertain future. The player counts are at a low. That is a truth. We have data to back up this sentiment, and it's true they have decreased. Looking at a Steam chart may instill a feeling of dread. Bungie also delayed the release of Shadow and Order, the next major update, which was meant to release in early March, and is now coming out on June 9th, alongside a rename and other changes. The update was meant to come out just a few days before Marathon, which many Destiny players believe has stolen all the attention away from Destiny and has truly killed the game. And the future of Destiny, Marathon, and Bungie is uncertain. Those are the things that I think are creating the sentiment that Destiny is heading to its death. But there is a lot of nuance and context to add here. The player counts do not reflect the true number of people actually playing Destiny. The website popularity report demonstrates the number of total unique players that have played any activity on a given day, and their numbers track every platform. So whenever I reference popularity report, I'm talking about Destiny's player base across every single platform. So the daily average right now is somewhere between 150k and 230k. These numbers are expected to be low due to the content drought we're currently in. It's unfair to compare these numbers right now to peaks like the Final Shape, because Final Shape was the big DLC to end the Light and Darkness saga, and right now we are in arguably our lowest period of content drought. But to go even further, we know how many individual people have logged into Destiny over the past month. According to popularity report, quote, of 2.7 million players that played in the first week of the Final Shape, 470,742 played in the last month, so 82.8% have not. For Edge of Fate, 70.8% have not played in the last month. When replying to Rick Kakis about the nature of the 500k number, they said, quote, 500k that also played in the first week of the Final Shape. There have been 1 million in the last month total, end quote. So that is 1 million different people that have played Destiny at its lowest point when there is nothing to do over the last month, which is around the February to March period. So even before new content in Guardian games. And this does not include people that are logging into Orbit, going into the tower, and just checking Eververse and getting off. This number only counts people who have played an activity. Quote, every time you play an activity, Bungie generates a file that contains info about it. The player activity, weapons, lots more. You can download all of these, and that's how I get the player numbers. And then when examining the nature of the 1 million players, they said, quote, of the 1 million players, here's some quantiles. 5% greater than 50 hours, 10% greater than 31 hours, 25% greater than 11 hours. There are definitely lots of people that log in and don't really play a lot, so probably around 100 to 200k, which you could consider core player base active right now, end quote. So the hourly playtime is low right now, but that is a given because content is dry given the delay. There's not that much to do right now, so the average amount of time you're going to be playing is lower. However, it's still very impressive that 1 million people have played Destiny 2 in the last month. That's crazy. Destiny is not dead. You can't say Destiny is dead. This is very good news. I'm like overjoyed at this. This is great news. Destiny still has a strong core audience. And of course, popularity reports estimates are that they're estimates and they should not be taken out of.
I take back everything I ever said. We are so fucking back. Sony, if you hear us now, full sin.
Context, but the big takeaway is that Destiny still has a strong audience. And in the midst of all this player count doom posting, which was in response to a lot of people just taking marathon stuff out of context, Mark Noseworthy, the former vice president for the Destiny universe, said this, quote, "Players have no idea the dev team size, cost per head, margin targets, or any other strategic goals the developer or publisher might have, and certainly can't triangulate any of those looking at player counts. So while I can agree it can be argued it's rational for players of a live service to care about the popularity and sustainability of their hobby, the publicly concurrency numbers do not serve that very well. I've seen players celebrate certain engagement numbers that I knew were actually bad and critique others as a game-ending apocalypse that were transitory. What Mark Noseworthy is saying here is that player counts are not reflective of what defines success for a studio internally. What can be perceived as good player counts by the public may have failed to meet internal expectations, and what people see as bad are exactly what the studio expected. In this example, he cites that low player counts were due to a transitory period that the studio was going through. And I think that applies to Destiny here. Right now, Destiny is going through a transitory period. And Bungie knows that. They planned for low player counts. So just because player counts are low right now does not mean Destiny is going to die. This is all just to say, I think it's disingenuous to call Destiny dead or even close to death. If 1 million unique individuals are logging on during, again, Destiny's lowest period, then the game is far from its death.
Look, I know this is just me. I'm personally just not interested in playing Destiny 2. When I've talked to a few friends outside of the streamer gamer space, many of them have told me that they will log on to Destiny, they may load up a patrol, realize nothing's really changed, and then log off. I won't lie, there is a number of players out there that would jump at something that Bungie drops. But we don't have anything, not right now, not until June. And we don't even know what June's really gonna present.
It's unfair to say that Destiny is dead. Sure, it may feel like that, but 1 million people playing is not an indication of death. You cannot say that a game is dead unless there is nobody on and the servers are offline. That is what I would consider.
That's also, I don't think we, and look, nothing against Abaddon here or anything like that. Sony is going to have to make that call. They're the ones who makes that call. So we'll see come May 8th. Hopefully there's not another impairment. There might. And guess what? There already was one impairment. If a second one rolls in and it actually goes against goodwill, that is probably the most concerning thing. Outside of Sony explicitly coming out and being like, this shit is dead. They're not gonna do that. You know what I mean?
Death. So we are far, 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 far from that. 1 million people is way far from that. It doesn't feel like 1 million people are playing because people are not logging on every day like they used to. And that's because there's not as much things to do right now. But just 2 months from now, there will be plenty. And of course, this isn't to disregard that there has been a big decline. You can see this visually. The amount of people that logged in to play Final Shape day 1 is much higher than the amount of people that came to play Renegades on day 1. But the fact that 1 million people have played Destiny in the last month, even though they aren't playing all at once.
Look, look, man, I'm not trying to roast. I want you to go buy a stock at this point here and hold this shit all the way down here. Down here. And then you tell me how positive you feel. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Now, you may be thinking, but Cross, we're not investors. We're not. Sony is. That's what I'm saying. This is a Sony Bungie discussion. That's them. They will have that discussion. I can tell you right now, Sony's looking at this, and looking at this and this, and they're going, the fuck is going on? What just happened?
Of course, this isn't to disregard that there has been a big decline. You can see this visually. The amount of people that logged in to play Final Shape day 1 is much higher than the amount of people that came to play Renegades on day 1. But the fact that 1 million people have played Destiny in the last month, even though they aren't playing all at once, does bring me hope. It makes me optimistic. So why is there nothing to do right now? Why are we in a content drought? That's because of the Shadow and Order delay. Just to recap, on February 18th, Bungie announced that Shadow and Order was delayed to June, which seemingly pushed back Destiny's next expansion, Shattered Cycle, as it was originally meant to release this summer. They also said we would hear more about the future plans for Destiny 2 closer to launch, so we won't be hearing anything major about the game until around May and June. It will also be around this time that we'll hear about the fabled roadmap and state of the game articles that will address the next few years for the franchise, as well as the state of the current game. First of all, I've seen so many hyperbolic and just straight out untrue claims about the nature of this delay and Shattered Cycle's delay. I've seen many people claim that Shattered Cycle has been delayed 6 months, that it might not even come out this year, and that a new raid is just not happening. This is all just untrue and hyperbolic. Shattered Cycle was not delayed 6 months because it was originally going to launch in the June-July timeframe, which is around 4 months from when Shadow and Order was originally going to release. We were going to be waiting at least 3 more months for it regardless. It's likely been pushed to September, so no, that's not a 6-month delay. Going from July to then September is just a 3-month delay. It's going to come out because Bungie's already deep into production with it. I don't know their exact development cycle is with these expansions now.
Do we have a confirmation that Shadow Cycle is coming out 3 months after the June update? There's no confirmation. Okay. I don't know. If there's confirmation out there, I'm all for it. But I don't know, man. It's everything's just kind of in limbo right now.
But I think we can infer that it started production last year, or maybe even as far back as 2024. We just don't really know. But Shattered Cycle did not get canceled, and that includes the raid. Shattered Cycle and its raid are going to come out, and most likely going to release in the September and October timeframe. Shadow and Order, which isn't even going to be called that anymore, is going to be a very big release. Bungie is going to update every old raid and dungeon by bringing their loot pool into the tier system, with new perks for the weapons and set bonuses for the armor. This already is a massive undertaking that I don't think is being recognized enough. Bungie is going to make every old raid and dungeon relevant again. That is 19 activities, 9 raids, 10 dungeons. They're going to update over 100 weapons. They're going to add set bonuses to every armor set. That is 38 set bonuses, as each armor set is going to get a 2-piece set bonus and a 4-piece set bonus. That is already a huge amount of content. And of course, that assumes that all the old raid and dungeons are also going to be brought into the feat system. And on top of that, we are getting Pantheon 2.0, which is going to have its own set of gear.
Great. Everything's getting updated. Where the fuck am I supposed to put it? And look, before you jump up and say, Cross, your vault issues is a you problem. No, fuck you. It's a us problem. It's a Guardian problem. It's a Destiny problem. Where the fuck are we supposed to put all this shit? I got nowhere else to put it. Nothing keeps me from grinding more than having to get rid of all types of shit. And then on top of that, tiered weapons just don't really turn me on. At first, I won't lie to you, I was crazy about tiered weapons. I was like, I gotta get tier 5s. But it's just like, all right, got a little bit of a different paint job. You got enhanced perks, but it's eh. Then the other thing is like, what do I need this shit for again? People are like, well, it's to make you stronger, make you kill things faster. Have you seen our sandbox? Brother, it's ability based. That fucking Reckless Oracle right here, you think that's gonna change the game for my loadout? Let me just Consecration Slam over and over. You see, there's just not as much prestige or even desire to get weapons with the way the sandbox is. Now, they could come in, change the sandbox come June, and maybe that's what they do. But then you still have those other issues, those other problems.
We don't know what the gear for this activity is going to look like, but there's some planned for Pantheon gear. Bungie kind of alluded to that in this article. And then on top of that, we are going to get the Shadow and Order activity, its exotic mission, and a plethora of new weapons that were going to come with the update. The update is also going to include many quality of life inclusions like tier 5 stats for exotic armors, weapon tier upgrading, and of course, more quality of life updates that we don't know about yet. Take this in for a moment. This update is not going to be like Ash and Iron. This is substantial. We have new activities to play, new exotic mission, Pantheon 2.0. Every old raid and dungeon is going to be relevant again, as well as all this loot we're going to be grinding. New loot, old loot. There's so much loot we're going to be grinding for. Our vaults are not going to be able to handle it. This summer is going to be pretty awesome. This is all just to address the short-term concerns. And yes, while the game is not in a great state, and I'm not saying that the game is perfect right now, I think looking at the player counts and the delay with this outlook helps to alleviate some of the stress. I think a lot of the doom and gloom kind of outlook comes from a place of thinking the game is just truly dead. But when you realize 1 million different people have logged on in the past month, that changes how you view things. You go from a place of apathy and acceptance of a supposed death to a place of, wait, maybe there's something worth saving here. And there is a lot worth saving. Destiny is worth saving. There's a lot Bungie needs to do to turn the game around, and I think they can. We got through Curse of Osiris. But the big question is what the future of Destiny is actually going to be. Because right now, it is uncertain.
My issue with the, okay, yes, we did get through Curse of Osiris. The lowest low in Curse of Osiris was the highest highs in Edge of Fate and Renegades by a large margin. And then on top of that, we also had Warmind, the Whisper mission being dropped, and we also had Forsaken. I don't think we're going to get a Forsaken. I know I'm sounding super negative right now, and if you're enjoying Destiny, enjoy it. F me. Don't worry about me. I just think that Destiny 2, unless Bungie comes out and really do some drastic things that the community is not going to like, I just think Destiny 2 has really just put themselves in a corner. They've handed out the candy for too long. And by candy, I mean everything. It's just given away. Exotics. The moment they started, we should have saw the writing on the wall, but the moment they started throwing exotics in as pre-order bonuses, battle passes, all these damn promo drop exotics, dude, that right there was the beginning of the end. You can go even further than that and say the beginning of the end was removing pinnacles. But all right, say that's not what you think was the beginning of the end.
We only know what the next year looks like. And while that might be scary, I'm going to explain why Destiny is not going anywhere. Let's first take a look at the fabled roadmap. We first heard about this roadmap way back in September 2025. Bungie hosted a live stream where they shared plans for Ashen Iron, Renegades, and teased a roadmap that would outline the future. Back then it was called the Road to Renegades roadmap. It was just meant to hype up the Renegades expansion leading up to its release. But on November 13th, 2025, Bungie published a Renegades content calendar article detailing news regarding Renegades, but also about the roadmap, where they said this, quote, "As we continue to act on your feedback, we're taking additional time to craft our long-term strategy for the future of Destiny before we share a full state of the game and multi-year roadmap next year." Many assumed the roadmap would be revealed in early 2026, but now it looks like it's going to be released sometime in May or June. So by June, it will have been 9 months since we first heard about the roadmap. In the November article, they explained that they were delaying the roadmap so that they could have more time to craft the future of Destiny. I think that line is important to take note of. The longer the roadmap takes to come out, the more people will expect from it. The roadmap cannot just be the release dates for Shattered Cycle, The Alchemist, and the 2 expansions after that, and then calling it a day. That can't be the roadmap. The roadmap has to be more. It has to tell us where the future of Destiny is heading. And Bungie knows this. They said the roadmap is going to explain what the multi-year, long-term future for Destiny looks like. So not just the next year, not just the next 2 years, the multi-year, long-term future. So it's not just going to be the next 2 DLCs. There is going to be something big on it. There has to be something big, as that will truly resurrect excitement. And again, Bungie knows this. Bungie understands, probably better than anyone, that the roadmap must have something big on it. Otherwise, people will not be satisfied. They know that it has to live up to expectations. The roadmap is not going to be Bungie telling us they're dropping Destiny and pulling the plug on the franchise. I can almost guarantee that. We're going to really get into why Bungie needs Destiny later in this video, but essentially, it is what's keeping the studio afloat, even with the launch of Marathon. So what are these great expectations? People expect Bungie to tell us what will happen to Destiny to ensure its survival, what big changes are going to be made for the franchise, and what everything is building toward in the Fate Saga and beyond. People expect a big, revolutionary plan for Destiny, and if there isn't one, they can only see its inevitable death. It cannot be the same expansion cycle we are in. There has to be something more. And so I think this massive change for the franchise can only take two forms. One, a complete transformation and overhaul of Destiny 2. Dropping the 2, changing all of the core systems, making Destiny 2 feel like a brand new experience. 2, the fabled Destiny 3. I personally think the latter is far more likely. And I think it's because Bungie already tried option 1. Maybe not to the fullest effect, but they did attempt an overhaul.
And Edge of Fate.
Edge of Fate was sort of that overhaul. There were so many different things introduced in the Edge of Fate, and a lot of them simply did not land. It didn't work with the current way Destiny is built. So the other option for Bungie is Destiny 3. And while there is no confirmation that Destiny 3 is in the works at all, and even then it would be years away, I want to pull on some small threads that have gone unnoticed to make a point that something big is happening with Destiny. Could it be Destiny 3? Maybe. Could it be something else for Destiny? Maybe. But there is something big happening with Destiny. Marathon was the focus for a lot of higher up creatives at Bungie. So many developers who created Halo, then worked on Destiny, went to build Marathon. Countless veterans were on this project. But now that Marathon is out, there are whispers that some of the Marathon developers are coming back over to Destiny. A few months back, there was a big rumor that Luke Smith had transitioned back to working on Destiny. This was because Aztecross had reported that one of the original designers for Vault of Glass went to work on Marathon and then had returned to working on Destiny. This rumor was erroneous because Luke Smith had left Bungie in 2024, but many believed that it was actually him. Aztecross confirmed it was not, and Paul Tassi corroborated his claim, using his insider sources. This designer was actually Dan Miller, and we can confirm this ourselves, as he made the change apparent on his LinkedIn. Dan Miller is a Bungie veteran. He worked on Halo 3, Halo Reach, and then went to work on Destiny 1. Some of his key accolades include designing Vault of Glass, prototyping Sparrow Racing League, prototyping Gambit, the Scourge of the Past raid, and so many other contributions to Destiny. In June 2023, Dan Miller went to work on Marathon, specifically the Cryo Archive map. For those who don't know, Cryo Archive is similar to a Destiny raid experience. It is Marathon's endgame map, featuring a boss fight, exclusive loot, and puzzle-like mechanics. Dan Miller worked on its concept, prototype, and implementation from June 2023 to September 2025.
Look. It's not my fault that you only think 2 people work at fucking Bungie or used to work at Bungie. Pete Parsons, the car guy, and then Luke Smith. So when I said someone has gone back to work on Destiny, those are the only 2 fucking people you think of outside of the train guy.
Then, in September 2025, he transitioned back to the Destiny team, working on core activity prototypes. This is an experienced staff designer who worked on many Destiny raids and experiences, went to work on Cryo Archive, and is now back to prototyping things on the Destiny team. This is key to remember. After finishing the job on Marathon, he's now back on Destiny, working to prototype the future. This makes me really excited and leaves the door open for more creatives returning to Destiny. Aztecross also reported that more developers were moving back to Destiny from Marathon, so there could potentially be more developers coming back to Destiny.
No, I don't know shit.
If
I really don't know. I really don't. I said one guy, one main guy, one really big guy, but I don't know about anybody else. And shit seems to have changed because now I'm hearing people are moving or more people are working on Marathon.
Bungie was intending to close the doors on Destiny. They wouldn't be moving higher up creatives back over to the game.
There's some truth to that.
To me,
there is some truth
this
to that.
sounds like something big is in the works. Arguably, the biggest studio change occurred last year, and I think it's gone unnoticed. That being Pete Parsons, Bungie's former CEO, stepped down from his position, and Justin Truman replaced him as studio head. This was huge. For those who don't know, Pete Parsons came to Bungie from Microsoft in 2002, acting as a studio manager and executive producer. Over the years, he left the company and then came back to it, eventually becoming the director of marketing, and then CEO in January 2016. On the other hand, Justin Truman was a Bungie developer. He came to the company in 2010, working as an engineering lead for Destiny, building key systems for Destiny 2, and then becoming a production director, Destiny 2 general manager, and then finally, chief development officer. And then in August 2025, Justin Truman became studio head. Justin Truman has been involved with some controversy in the Destiny community. He's most infamously known for his speech at a GDC presentation where he spoke about the nature of over-delivery in video games, specifically Destiny. Essentially, what he said was that developers should be careful when deciding if they should over-deliver on a release, as it sets expectations for the future, and if you cannot meet those expectations again, it will only disappoint and let down your community. There is some wisdom in that sentiment, but it was taken out of context. When Truman took over as studio head, he gave a small message and poked fun at that over-delivery statement. In this message, he also said Bungie was dedicated to supporting Destiny and Marathon. They're not giving up on either game. To further demonstrate Bungie's dedication to Destiny, earlier this year, Paul Tassi reported that the majority of the studio was still working on Destiny. According to Paul Tassi, which we'll assume his sources are correct, 550 people are on Destiny, with 300 on Marathon. That number...
Now, since the making of this video came out 12 days ago, Paul has now said that more people are now working on Marathon than Destiny.
Comes from April 2025, and I can imagine that many were pulled off Destiny to help launch Marathon, and then ultimately came back to Destiny. But still, the majority of employees at Bungie are working on Destiny. So the majority of the studio is working on the game. We have higher up creatives coming back to working on Destiny, and big studio changes with Truman taking the reins. So why does it feel like nobody is working on Destiny? Well, because I think Bungie is working on something big for the franchise. I really believe that something big is on the way for Destiny. I don't think they're going to give up on the game and its universe. It would make no sense for Bungie to close the doors on Destiny, their flagship title, and the thing still making them money. Maybe it's not making as much money as it did before, but Destiny is still making money. If every single one of those million people that played Destiny in the last month all bought Renegades, that's a lot of money. It's all about the money to Bungie and Sony at the end of the day. Sony's fiscal year runs from April 1st to March 31st. Some businesses begin counting the earnings for a new year in the spring, like Sony. So for example, Sony's 2024 fiscal year began on April 1st, 2024 and ended on March 31st, 2025. The 2025 fiscal year ended on March 31st, 2026. Bungie's also included in this, so their last year in revenue will include everything in that time frame. Bungie is going to have a very good financial year to report. The 2025 fiscal year is going to include the Edge of Fate, Renegades, and Marathon, all of which cost $40. And of course, the collector's editions, merch, Eververse.
But we don't know. We really don't know expense-wise. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know overhead costs. We don't know what projections they were giving Sony or what they were trying to hit. What we do know was that the last time Sony talked about Bungie, there was an impairment. That's not good. Again, I'm talking out of my ass at this point, which is that I'm gonna have to wait till May 8th. May 8th, which is right around the corner, we will know.
Sales, Marathon cosmetics, but really the big main hitters are Edge of Fate, Renegades, and Marathon. So even though it might seem like everything's over and Bungie's cooked, they are going to report a very good financial year since for the first time in 10 years, another game will be included in their report. And it's again important to note here that it all really depends on their expectations. If Bungie and Sony put insane high expectations on Renegades, Edge of Fate, and Marathon, that they're supposed to make a huge amount of money and of course fell short of that, it's going to be looking like a failure. But Bungie and Sony knew that Edge of Fate and Renegades were not going to match the hype of Final Shape. It's just not how it was ever going to be. And Marathon is a niche extraction shooter. They knew Marathon wasn't going to make billions of dollars because of the nature of the game. It's a hardcore niche extraction shooter. However, the real question for Bungie is what the next financial year looks like. Marathon is not going to operate on a yearly DLC basis like Destiny. It's a $40 game up front with then free seasonal updates with a battle pass system that costs $10, but the Battle Pass only offers cosmetics. It's not like an old Destiny season where buying the season pass would also get you content and activity, exotic missions, stuff like that. Destiny is still going to offer two $40 releases a year.
I'm also going to say we don't know that either. Like, I'm going to be honest, guys. I don't even know what the structure of the next expansion is going to be. Everything Bungie said last year has really gone out the window. No fucking lie, guys. Although this time last year when they were talking about the future of Destiny, the Prophecy Saga, all that stuff, gone. We cannot rely on that anymore as a basis of where we are going into the future. I don't know how the next batch of content is going to roll out to us. It could be the two $40 releases. It could be a consolidated expansion. It could be nothing, which makes you wonder, why would there just be nothing? I don't know. We won't know until June.
Destiny is going to keep Bungie alive for this reason. It's why it makes absolutely no sense for Bungie to give up on Destiny and focus all efforts on Marathon. For one, Marathon is a niche extraction shooter made for the most hardcore players. Bungie knew this when they were making it. They didn't want to make it a casual experience, they were making it for a certain audience. If Bungie was expecting to make a massive amount of money, they wouldn't have developed a game for the most hardcore players. And so I think to Bungie and Sony, Marathon is a success because they set their expectations accordingly. Maybe right now it's not hitting the metrics that are being estimated for the game, but those might not be what Bungie and Sony define as a success. I think their plan was to invest in a long-term player base. Their strategy was to cultivate a smaller but very strong fan base that plays the game for years to come, not to make all of their money immediately. But a dedicated fan base is going to buy your battle pass, cosmetic skins and weapon skins, t-shirts, plushies, collector's items. Marathon has a dedicated fan base much like Destiny. And you can see with the massive amount of fan art, cosplay, creators that are making art and content for the game, there are just so many people that are invested in the world of Marathon, and that's going to last for a long time. Sure, it might be small, but it's going to last. But Bungie's consistent stream of income is going to be with the Destiny expansions. With this upcoming fiscal year, it's all back on Destiny to make the big money. There won't be a $40 Marathon release like this past year. It'll just be two Destiny expansions, Shattered Cycle and The Alchemist. Marathon is a great game for who it was made for. I think it will ultimately be a success for Bungie in the long term, and I really think it is a success right now. But given its nature as an extraction shooter, it will not be a money-making machine that will keep Bungie alive, that could replace Destiny. Marathon is one stream of income, but it will not be the only stream of income.
Do we know what Marathon's long-term monetization is going to be? Battle Pass in-store items, right? We have the roadmap. I know we have the roadmap. Has Bungie ever said Marathon is a one-time purchase and we're never going to charge you again for anything? Ever. DLCs. Never going to charge you again. Bungie, and never charging you again. Has that been definitively said? I think they said that in the launch article. All right. Okay.
Also attempting to be a multi-game studio. That's what all those incubation projects were trying to accomplish. So closing Destiny for Marathon would be a regression. All of this is just to say that Destiny and Marathon are two streams of income for Bungie, with Destiny being the game that keeps them stable and Marathon their attempt at a new pillar. We'll just have to wait and see how Marathon does in the long term, but I have hope for it. All this points to Bungie keeping Destiny around for the long term. Even though it seems bleak right now, Bungie is best when they are quiet, with their backs up against a wall. The last few years have taught me that Bungie is going to release some pretty great Destiny content these next few months. And this period we're in my opinion, is not even the worst, at least for me. I think the worst period was during the Final Shape delay. October 2023 was the absolute worst for me because the layoffs had hit the studio, the Final Shape was delayed from February 2024 to June 2024, and we had no idea what was going on with Marathon. We didn't even know if Marathon was going to come out. So back then, the future, at least to me, felt a lot more bleak because of these layoffs, the delay, and uncertainty regarding Marathon. That to me is when I felt like Bungie might be shutting its doors. But now, Marathon has released, and it wasn't dead on arrival like so many were hoping for. The real terrifying situation was the period before launch, because if Marathon was a failure, then we'd have to question the future of Bungie as a whole. But that's not the case. We are not living in that timeline, and Bungie is going to see another day, and the future of Destiny and Marathon is intact. The question at the end of the day is what Destiny is truly building toward. I think Destiny 3 is inevitable, and it might be already in development for all the reasons I've shared. Imagine this, it's June 9th, 2026. Bungie is hosting a big live stream. Shattered Cycle is revealed. We're in Old Chicago, and it looks amazing. The revised Shadow and Order update is amazing. Pantheon 2.0 is awesome. And then, Bungie starts talking about the future. They tell us more about The Alchemist, what the DLCs leading up to the end of the Fate Saga looks like, and then at the very end, they say this: Destiny 3 in early development. Would that bring you back to Destiny? Would that make you excited about Destiny again? There's an argument to be made for Destiny 3.
Bungie, if you are working on a D3, hold up.
For one, an announcement like this would give us something big to look forward to. It would dramatically change how the player base views the future. If the big change coming to the franchise was a complete Destiny 2 transformation, every update would have us on the edge of our seats, waiting in anticipation for that overhaul. But something like Destiny 3 gives Bungie time to cook. No longer would each Destiny 2 update be make or break for the franchise. People would become more gracious. And of course, Destiny 3 would allow for an influx of new and returning players and would reignite the current player base. Destiny 3 would also be designed to last for decades. Destiny 2 was only meant to last 3 years, but now it's gone on for almost a decade. Coming from a narrative aspect, I think a storyline involving new planets, alien races, and a big story with the Winnower could only happen in a Destiny 3. And of course, Destiny 2 would have to end in order for Destiny 3 to be developed. You need some time for every developer working on Destiny to focus all their efforts on Destiny 3. But I can see a future where we get the last few expansions for the Fate Saga, maybe a year of downtime, and then we get Destiny 3. But Destiny, as an IP, is far from death. Destiny fans want a new, innovative experience, but something that is still Destiny within a skeleton. The classic Bungie FPS. Now, of course, everything I've said is just speculation. I don't have any insider information or any forbidden knowledge or anything like that. There's no official Bungie confirmation on anything I've just said, so please take it with a grain of salt. But I think, to me at least, it feels a lot better to speculate and theorize on what a positive, optimistic future could look like, rather than just sit and sulk in negativity and give up. Because I don't want to give up on Destiny. Ultimately, whether the future of Destiny is with a Destiny 3 or a revitalized Destiny 2, I just think Destiny as a universe and as a franchise is too special to give up. There is so much left on the table, so many worlds left to explore, characters to meet, and enemies to face. For the past 12 years, we have spent all of our time in Destiny in the solar system, a small, tiny fraction of this massive and expansive universe we've heard about in lore. Imagine what else we could find. Imagine the stories left to tell. To me, Destiny is far from over. So to both Bungie and you, the player, please, do not give up on Destiny and this world. The only way Destiny truly dies is if you give up on it. Apathy will destroy the game. Take time away, play something else, but do not give up on what Destiny can be just because it's not where it should be right now. Destiny's potential is too great for it to be wasted, and I have hope in the future. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you channel members for your continued support. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments, and share what would bring you back to Destiny. I'm very curious. This video is a little different from my usual content. I have more lore stuff on the way, but I really just needed to get this off my chest and make something positive, because I really do have hope for Destiny. I have a lot more lore stuff coming, like another raid analysis like the Desert Perpetual.
No, it was a good video. It was a good video. there were, you know, some things that we just don't know. But I think at the end of the day, Abaddon, he's a, you know, he loves Destiny, just like many people love Destiny, and he wants to see Bungie continue to commit to Destiny, and I do too. I think we all do. I think we all want that. We think it's an IP worth committing to. As far as a D3 goes, if a D3 is in development, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I want to find out in a live stream in June or whenever. Like this is one of those things that I would like to find out in Destiny itself, like in Destiny 2. The only thing I would add is whatever timelines, whatever way we thought expansions were going to roll out before, I think all of that is gone. I just don't know what is going to take place outside of what Bungie has said in June. I have no idea. Here's what I can agree on. I think that Destiny as an IP, most valuable thing Bungie's got, like straight up, clears Marathon. And I know Marathon community hates to hear that shit. Bungie is Destiny. It's its most IP defining game right there. It is Bungie at this point, and has been. And so 1000% Destiny is the game to bet on. But that's a Sony discussion with Bungie. Like, they are going to be the ones that decide whether or not if a D3 will ever be a possibility, if a D2 is going to be what we get here on out, and if it is going to be these mid-sized expansions and also expansions like Ash and Iron that don't quite hit. Sony makes that call, just like making the call for Destiny Classic. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'll keep playing it in 30 frames per second.
Slap that like button like your mama told you right.